We're here on a special podcast occasion, special for me and special, I think, for a lot of fans who have followed the Portland Timbers for a while. I'm joined by former Timbers player Leonard Griffin. And if you can't and you're not watching this, what I am seeing is it says Goals Galore Ryan Pore, who is joining me for the top right of my section. Guys, good to see you. Last time, Leonard, I caught up with you. I think it was on the dance floor line dancing in Portland. And Ryan Pore, I was paying rent with Sam Muni at your house in Portland. How are you guys? How are you both? Leonard, we'll start with you.
Yeah, doing great. Living here now in San Francisco, California. Super fortunate to be a head coach now at a historic university and trying to push this program forward and live up to the past players and alum that have done some fantastic things here. But also envious. You said we caught up on the dance floor doing some line dancing, man. I know you're in Nashville now, so it'd be fun to catch up with you there and hit up another dance floor in that part of the country.
Whether it's you or the San Francisco Dons, who you're the head coach of now coming through, and Ryan Pore over to the other side with the Kansas City Roos head coach in your first. You know what? I'm mistaken here. I should have done this on the side. I've got the MLS Portland Timbers jersey on. I got to take this off for you guys.
Hey,
Pore,
there we go.
I know you were MLS. I know you went MLS, but it's not right unless I get into proper uniform. I haven't put this on in 10 years, and I'm so glad that it stops right here on the chest because the camera does, because you see my belly coming out. Pore, how are you?
I'm good, Ross. It's good seeing everyone. Those bring back some good memories, seeing that old logo and the Nike sign and all that goes with that. So, yeah, just here in Kansas City, enjoying our end of the season here coming up. And, yeah, just looking forward to reminiscing about some stories back in the good old days.
When you look at it, the similarities, so both of you, to catch everybody up, you're both married, both have 2 kids, both retired about 11 years ago, and both obviously coaching. When I give you all that, and it's been 10 years since you kicked a competitive soccer ball, I'm sure you jump in with your training. What's that like? What comes to mind?
I guess I'll start, but man, where's time gone? First and foremost, but I think you look back and you're grateful and thankful for all the memories, all the relationships you build, and use all that to help fuel and motivate the next generation here at the college level. So, yeah, it's just crazy to see where we've been and to look forward to how we can continue to help this game in the future.
Or what about you?
Yeah, it's funny when you say all that stuff. You compare Leonard and I. Well, Leonard and I really never even played together, but it feels like we are teammates. It feels like we've known each other for 15 years, and I think that's the beauty of this of the game of soccer, and I think why we all want to stay involved with it is obviously we love to compete and play, but it's the memories we have off the field and with guys like yourselves that keeps bringing us back to this beautiful game.
You both look like you could still play. For those of you who are watching this interview, you could attest to it. For those of you listening in, let's take you back. Let's take you back to your Portland days. Let's go with fondest memory, biggest memory that stands in your mind. Ryan Pore, Goals Galore, Ryan Pore.
Oh, man. Well, I'm glad you asked me this because, when you're thinking over those years of playing in front of those incredible fans, especially fans when it's a second division club at the time and you're still getting 12, 15,000 people there, the thing that stood out to me most was just how close we were as a team in those 2009, 2010 years. I think it showed in the results we had on the field. And probably the biggest memory I had is now, even as a coach, you can respect this even more, is that streak we went on in 2009, 24 games unbeaten, which I still think is one of the longest streaks in American soccer. And, I think it was all portion of how much we enjoyed playing with each other. And, I was really, when I was looking back at all the memories, that was really the one that stood out the most probably.
Yeah. You, from that, Pore, when I jump in real quick, when I talk about memories, one of my fondest, and it had nothing to do with me. It had everything to do with you scoring the goal, but I was on the pitch at the time, the sunflower goal. Yep. And to this day, it's neat to go around the stadium and see fans, and fans who have been with it for a while when they're wearing the scarf that says a sunflower goal.
Yeah.
But I remember my family being there at the time, and I could not believe I've never heard a stadium erupt from that. And it's probably, part of it, I was playing lower leagues in England, so I never played in front of a crowd like that.
Yeah.
That was one of the top memories when I look at it. And just to think what was it, the final goal at Geldwin Stadium against Puerto Rico, right to the end. Does that stand out for you?
Yeah, it definitely does. It was a goal that I scored in the moment. You don't realize how big it was. You heard them singing there, and you're just into the game, right? I think we were tied at the time, and we scored to go up there. And now that you take a step back, you realize how big a goal that was. And in the last game of that old stadium, and we're all throwing sunflowers at each other after the game. And,
yeah, we were.
it was an emotional time, but a great time, and one I'll never forget. So it makes me happy that's one of your better memories, because like I said, for me, it wasn't always the individual moments. It was the moments like you just said, Ross, where we're all together doing that stuff that brought us so close together off the field.
Leonard, when you dig into the memory bank, what comes forward to you?
Yeah, man, so many. I think Ryan's spot on when he talks about playing in front of the Timbers Army, especially at a time when they weren't MLS. But in terms of feeling like you're playing in the big leagues, there was no better place to play in our country, I think, than right there in front of the Timbers Army. And that has to stick out as one of my top things, and just the feeling you get when you walk out of the tunnel and you're lining up to take the pitch, and how loud they're singing, and how hype you get for those games. That was, for me, one of the biggest, best things. But I think Ryan's other one is the family camaraderie that we had within the group. I think, playing there the years that I was there, the team was so close off of the field, and you have a lot of the guys living at Gulf Creek, and players meeting up there for rendezvous. It was, in my professional career, it was probably the most that we hung out as a team off the field. And I think that showed in how hard we competed for each other on the field. And so that just those relationships that we were able to build really sticks out for me. We used to go river floating all the time. We had Lawrence Olam DJing at a club downtown. So, it was just nonstop memories with the guys. And I think that was the biggest thing. And, my nickname would probably be Lack of Goals Galore. I have one goal that I scored there at which is now, is it Providence Park now, or
Providence Park?
Yeah, and that sticks out as a memory. It was a shot from like 30 out that kind of tailed into the top right corner, and for me, that was I have to take that as my claim to fame in terms of goals that I've ever scored as a defender. But
I'm looking into the background of your screens. I don't see the log slabs. Did you keep yours? I only got one.
I think I have two slabs, and I always talk to Gavin about how I can get another slab or Timber Joe to see if he can cut one for me, just for old time's sake. I'd love to turn it into a little end table or something, but 100%. Yeah. I need that.
We'll have to figure that out to be able to return one to you. Pore, you had plenty of goals.
Yeah, it's funny. Another one, I wish you'd have more of those to have on hand. I think I kept one, and it dried out and was split into half. But I was lucky that I had given one to my parents back when I had first scored one of my first goals, and it held up pretty good. So they did exactly what Leonard said. They just presented it to me my last birthday for an end table. So, I wish I had more of them, but that one's down in our basement, and it's a good memory to have.
You probably be able to lend me one there, Ryan, if you had all yours.
Doesn't matter where it came from.
Yeah, exactly.
What matters is the stories that you tell that go with it, right?
Yeah.
Mark Kostick, who's producing this for us, has been with us since we started. And Mark Kostick, we were talking about the yesteryears, and the big thing that comes up is the grind. And I want to ask you guys, what is one of the wildest things that happened to you as a Portland Timber? While you think about that, let me throw in one. And Leonard, I wonder if you were playing this day for Austin Aztec. And Pore, we were playing against them, and we were in Austin. And we actually had to get changed in a primary elementary school class. And so grown men were all sitting in these little kiddie chairs with in the round table with Play-Doh in the corner and all this. And we're putting on soccer boots to go out for a professional match. And I thought, I've never seen this before. That is one of mine. Leonard, any for you?
Yeah, the one that sticks out immediately was the grind of the schedule. I remember we used to have to play back-to-back games on a Friday and then Saturday. And so I think we played in Montreal on a Friday night, night game, probably finished the game, let's just say 9:30 p.m. We get on a bus to travel down to Rochester after meals and everything. You don't arrive to the next venue or location until maybe 2-3 in the morning. You sleep, you wake up, you're groggy, you're tired, then you got to go and battle that same night. And you're just thinking like, I'm not even close to recovered from playing last night, but we got to go and figure out how to get a result again in the following day. So that grind, I remember it being very, very challenging for sure.
What about you, Pore?
I think the biggest thing that stands out to me was just the travel always from Portland, the West Coast. You had to go to Puerto Rico, the Rochester, the Charleston. I mean, I had never experienced that. I grew up middle of the country, Midwest, so everything's a couple hours where, that travel from Portland could be quite severe. And then what you said, Ross, in terms of the level of degrees of facilities, I mean, you'd go play Montreal in a first class facility, and then you go play Baltimore or Cleveland, who I had experience, or, I know Austin was just getting set up down there. So, some of those, like you said, you wouldn't even bat an eye in some of those locker rooms you were in, but whether they're elementary schools or high schools or proper soccer facilities, it's just funny how the sport has evolved in this country.
Yeah. When you say that with the travel, with the Timbers playing in the CCL match coming up in Honduras, and I was joking with Mark, it took us, I think, 4 flights to get to Puerto Rico before we played the game. And with the guys who've seen photos and a little bit more comfortable than what we had it anyways.
Yeah.
So I believe we had a layover once when Johan was there, the Swedish player, and I think the layover was at least 6 or 7 hours, because I know he went and visited the city because he hadn't seen the city before, and the fact that we had that type of itinerary just kind of makes you shake your head, doesn't it?
Amazing what it was.
The kids only knew, huh?
Yeah.
Well, let's talk about the kids. With your kids, both of you you finished playing, you turned assistant coaches, and now head coach. Pore, you've been in the job for a year now. Leonard, you've been 2 years. For you guys, when you look at your playing career, your influences, when you look at your coaching style now, was there anybody who stood out to you as an influence to your demeanor, to your playing style? Pore?
Yeah, I think you, as a coach, you kind of take bits and pieces off every coach you had. And so from my first coach in college, Tom McIntosh, to my first pro coach, Bob Gansler, and then you go all the way to my last coach and John Spencer. I think I have a lot of similarities in all those coaches. And so I think that's what we do as players. We kind of take what we like from each coach and then just kind of build your own personality and character and hopefully implement it within your team and system on how you see fit.
What about you, Leonard?
Yeah, no, I mean, I think Ryan couldn't answer it any better. I mean, I think for me as well, I've been fortunate to work with some fantastic managers from, the late great Ziggy Schmidt to Bruce Arena to Adrian Heath, who's now still coaching. And obviously Gavin Wilkinson was my head coach at the Timbers. And, when you look at what they did really well with Bruce, great manager, Ziggy always knew how to get the most out of each individual player. Adrian, Gavin, both very good player coaches in the sense that they knew when to lay into you a bit and be stern, but they also knew when to put their arm around you and help you, push on and move forward. And so, like Ryan says, you try to take the best out of all of them and implement it the best you can. And that kind of makes you who you are as a coach. And so I've tried to do that as well.
Through the names that you've listed off, I can think of times, obviously, great coaching. And there's also what you call a hairdryer as well, when things get heated up in the locker room and the manager just wants to get at every single player. Have you taken any part of that? Can you have the hairdryer treatment on players nowadays? Or do you have to manage a lot different?
Yeah, I think there's a difference on how you have to talk to the kids these days. But I've noticed, when you become a coach, you don't really understand your style until you get put in that situation. And I'm probably more direct and fiery than I was thinking I would be.
Yeah.
But that's just who I am. And I think that all comes from the competition we all love. But you definitely have to pick and choose your moments because if you're too intense all the time, then it's too much for the guys. And especially in our environment where They got a lot. The guys have a lot going at it with the classes, the campus wide stuff, the community stuff, and then the soccer. So I think you definitely have to pick and choose your moments when to be fiery.
I agree. I think at the college level, it's a little different. At the pro level, there's a lot more at stake. When you're playing and your paychecks are on the line for the players and for the coaches, and it's much more of a results-driven business. Where here is a much more of a holistic development when all the things Ryan mentioned, from academics to preparing them to be successful outside of the game of soccer. So yeah, you have to have a little bit different of approach. And for me and my personality, I have to, sometimes I have to psych myself up when to really go and lay into them a bit. I'll tell my staff walking in at halftime, like, all right, should we lay into them? And then kind of got to slap the face and then go put on a show a little bit. But again, it's picking and choosing those moments when I think they need it. And that's, again, the experience that you've had as from coaches that we've played for, and knowing when to do it, how to do it, and what exactly to say. But I can tell you, I've been in some locker rooms where there were some expletives that we probably can't say here on the air. And it's just going from every single player that touched foot on the field. And you're sitting on the end. You're like the last one, like, oh my gosh, please let us get back on the field before it gets to me. And,
for the referee to come knock the door.
Yeah, come knock on the door, ref, save me, please. But yeah, no, it's fun. It's a fun experience. And, I think Ryan and I would probably say the same things, that we're both continuing to learn every day and how to continue to push our groups in the right ways.
When you're wanting to set the example, what about for the two of you? Can you put on the boots? Can you still do it? Can you demonstrate? Can you jump on?
For me, I think that's like where sometimes I look at what goes on in the field, and to me it should be all easy. Not to say I was the greatest player, but I like to strap on the boots when I can, especially when we had this whole COVID time to train this past fall and you're down numbers. It's always a pleasure to strap on the boots and see if you still got it. And that's, again, where I need some extra motivation. Yeah. But yeah, no, it's fun. I think I can. If I had a new knee, I'm still waiting for the technology where they reinvent a meniscus and I can throw that in there. Then I'm calling Gavin and seeing if he needs a left back.
Poor you still taking penalties? Do you teach taking penalties when you're waiting for the goalkeeper to move?
No.
I could not believe that, how you managed to be so successful with your penalties.
Yeah, all except for against Seattle Sounders in the U.S. Open Cup. But
hey, I'm with you.
You and I feel the same pain that game. So, no, I rarely get the boots on anymore. Just out of respect for the guys. A lot of times, it's just sometimes, the coaches here will throw them on every so often if we need numbers. But, I think sometimes they know all Leonard and my background in terms of a head coach. They know that we played. So we want to be coaches now. And, if we need to play, great. But it's about us coaching them on the field. And I think that's what the players want.
Well, guys, I appreciate the time. I know it's sensitive now, or limited now, because you've got a busy week. You've got a match at the weekend. Leonard, in particular, that listeners will relate to. You're playing against Portland Pilots, who you used to be assistant coach for. Pore, you've got a match at the weekend. All the best to both of you as you push on into this strange season, this COVID season, and push on to the NCAA, hopefully the tournament, and to much success. And I look forward to seeing you both back in Portland at some point.
Ross, thanks so much for having me, man. Pleasure being on the show. And just like I said before, the Timbers family is one of the most welcoming in terms of an alumni presence that I've had at any organization, and just being able to stay connected, it means a lot. And so thank you guys so much for having us on the show.
Yeah, Leonard,
Ryan Pore.
Yep, it was good seeing both of you guys. So I have an Oregonian son, and he's been asking to get up there. So he doesn't even know what Oregon is, and he was born there. So I have to get him up there and show him the full Portland Timbers experience. And we need to get up there soon.
That's funny you say that, Ryan, because when we play Portland, my kids, they get confused of which team to root for. So because they know more Portland more than anywhere else. So yeah.
That's funny.
Oh, that's brilliant. Well, we look forward to seeing you both back in the city. Thanks for taking the time. All the best the rest of the way.
All the best, Ryan. Good seeing you, man. All the best, dude.
Same to you, Leonard.
Thanks, man. Appreciate it.